It's become a place where people are publishing information.
Hi, thanks for watching Celebrities and Famous. A few years ago, Bill Gates lost the #1 spot on the billionaires list to Jeff Bezos, and with his tech colleagues earning tens of billions a year, it looks like he's only likely to decline in the next few years. After all, Elon Musk managed to earn more than Bill Gates' entire net worth in 2020 alone. Despite that, I think Bill Gates is still the #1 billionaire and will continue to be the #1 billionaire for a long time to come. And here's why. Why is Bill Gates still #1? Well, for starters, when I say that Bill Gates is the #1 billionaire, I don't mean that he leads in any particular category per se. If we only look at wealth, the title would go to Jeff Bezos. And if we only look at importance and influence, the title would probably go to Elon Musk. But I'm not talking about a single measure, but Bill Gates from a general perspective, because from that perspective, he still reigns supreme by far. Bill's billions. To illustrate this, let's start by looking at the easiest measure, his wealth. Today, he's ranked at around $130 billion, and although he's the third largest in the world, Jeff Bezos is actually 40% ahead of him. However, there is an important point to keep in mind. The only reason Bill Gates is positioned at $130 billion today is because he chose to be there. You see, Bill Gates decided to stop aggressively growing his portfolio over 2 decades ago, in 1994. Ironically, this is the same year Amazon started, which means that Bill Gates was ending his journey while Jeff Bezos was just beginning his. In any case, Bill Gates owned 45% of Microsoft when it went public in 1986, and he held the vast majority of that position until 1994. But starting in 1994, Bill Gates decided to sharply reduce his ownership of Microsoft. In fact, in March 2020, he reduced his stake in Microsoft to just 1.36%. This was definitely the smartest thing to do, as keeping virtually all of his net worth in one company is not the best idea. Despite this, it is basically what everyone else at the top did, with the exception of Warren Buffett. If Bill Gates didn't decide to play conservative like his peers, he would be way ahead of Jeff Bezos today. For example, let's say that Bill Gates had liquidated only 5% of his stake in Microsoft for maintenance expenses and side projects that every billionaire seems to have today. Bill Gates could easily have maintained a 40% stake in Microsoft, considering his strong profitability from day one. Unlike many of today's initial public offerings, Microsoft was profitable when it went public, and did not do so to raise capital at all. One of the main reasons they went public was to create a long-term exit strategy. That said, its market capitalization is currently $1.65 trillion, and a 40% share would translate into a staggering $660 billion. In fact, Bill Gates only needed to hold 11.5% to remain #1 today. And who knows where Microsoft shares would be today if Bill Gates hadn't resigned and continued to lead the company? I'm sure he wasn't oblivious to that fact. He saw a future full of computers in the 1970s, so I'm sure he knew that computers would only become more dominant as we crossed into the new millennium. And there sure would be ups and downs and lateral movements, but the overall trajectory was certainly upward. Despite this, he was simply satisfied and wanted to focus on other endeavors. Request to leave. And that brings me to my next point, which is that he's one of the only billionaires who had the courage to give up. Most billionaires end up working until his death. Just take a look at Warren Buffett. He's 90 years old and worth more than $90 billion. However, he continues to keep working. Now, of course, much of this can be explained by the fact that many billionaires love what they do and don't feel the need to give up. At the same time, however, there are many other pleasures in life that they should probably try to. Bill Gates left Microsoft CEO right at the turn of the millennium in January 2000 at age 44. He took on the role of president and chief software architect, but it was actually more of an oversight and guidance role than a practical role. Simultaneously, he founded the Bill Gates and Melinda Gates Foundation in 2000, and through that foundation has donated a total of $50 billion, or the same amount as the 25th richest person in the world owns. In addition, Bill Gates played a full-time role in its foundation and ensured, in the best possible way, that his money was well spent. It's one thing to sign the pledge and be willing to donate 99% of his wealth to charities. This, in itself, is an extremely commendable act, but Bill Gates took it to the next level, dedicating the last 20 years of his life and probably the rest that is missing for a cause. And the results were extraordinary. In the year 2000, the World Health Organization reported that 60% of measles deaths worldwide occurred in sub-Saharan Africa. In 2015, however, measles vaccination rates in many parts of Africa were higher than in North America. I'm sure anti-vaccines in the US played a role in this, but it is still an excellent achievement. Of course, Bill Gates not only made extreme sums of money, but he also effectively donated extreme sums, living to the fullest. At the same time, he also did not refrain from spending his own life and living it to the full. He doesn't have 10 or 33 houses or anything like that, but he does have one super amazing house and 3 modest summer houses. Bill Gates' main residence is a $127 million mansion located in Medina, Washington. The house is about 66,000 square meters, with 7 bedrooms and 19 bathrooms. It also has a trampoline room and a reception hall with a capacity for up to 200 guests. In addition, it also has 6 kitchens and a garage for 23 cars. Of course, Bill Gates didn't save when building this house, but at the same time, it's not overly exaggerated. For example, it's not nearly as luxurious as the Trump Tower, or the Mar-a-Lago Resort, or a $2 billion skyscraper. Likewise, Bill Gates has 2 super nice Gulfstream G650s, but it's not like a Boeing 757 or Airbus A380, which he could easily have bought. As you can see, Bill Gates loves to indulge in good things, but these purchases are often made with practicality and common sense, and he has little interest in being opulent or flashy. Children's education. Bill Gates has 3 children from his old marriage to Melinda, the eldest born in 1996 and the youngest in 2002. Considering that Bill Gates left his CEO position in 2000, he was probably able to spend a significant amount of time with all of his children as they grew up, unlike most billionaires. Take Elon Musk for example. His contributions to society are excellent. The journey there was not easy by any stretch of the imagination. It is not uncommon for him to sleep in Tesla's factories for long periods of time, and he consistently works over 100 hours a week. While this is amazing for shareholders, the electric car market and the space market, I'm not sure his family really appreciates this behavior. Anyway, going back to Bill Gates, although he can probably spend a lot of time with his kids, he's being very careful not to spoil them. In fact, he's leaving behind a mere $10 million per child, or a total of $30 million. To put that in perspective, even with Bill Gates' 1.36% stake in Microsoft shares only need to rise 29 cents for Bill Gates to make $30 million. So clearly it's not a lot of money for Bill. After all, he's essentially giving each kid $1 for every $13,000 he has. It seems Bill really took Warren Buffett's advice. Leave your kids enough money so they can do anything, but not enough that they don't have to do anything. balance. In the end, I think we can clearly distinguish a Bill Gates pattern that others at the top don't have, which is balance. Mega billionaires usually excel in a handful of areas, but drop the ball in most other things. They may be a notable businessman or an important salesperson, but they are often not the best parents or the nicest person in and of themselves. However, this is not the case for Bill Gates. He earned extreme amounts of money running Microsoft and could have earned hundreds of billions more. But when he started building a family, he jumped out. And over the years, although he didn't spend his time in a 1958 house or driving a Cadillac like Warren Buffett, he also didn't squander in dozens of houses and toys along the way. Finally, with what time he has left, he has been doing his best to ensure that the money he's donating is spent as effectively and intentionally as possible. And although he may not be the best in any of these realms, he tried his best to keep his balance and made significant progress in all of them. So, if you aspire to be a billionaire, I think Bill Gates is the one to go. So that's all for today, fellas. Do you think Bill Gates is a crazy billionaire? What do you think about him? Share your opinion in the comments down below. If you liked the video, subscribe, like it, and share with your friends. And bye bye.